Moving a B2B SaaS monthly churn rate from 3% down to 1.5% is one of the most mechanically difficult optimizations a company can execute. Left unaddressed, systemic churn is immense mechanical friction against growth. The revenue engine tears itself apart trying to outpace the constant loss of accounts. Reaching a 1.5% target sounds like a marginal optimization, but mathematically, a 1.5% absolute drop is a massive 50% relative reduction in customer loss. This animated graph plots a 100 customer cohort over 36 months. The steep red line illustrates a 3% monthly decay. An optimized 1.5% rate creates a shallow green line. The geometric space between these curves is retained capital, directly doubling customer lifetime value. The industry's standard approach is entirely reactive. Wait for a cancellation request, deploy a specialized safe team, offer frantic free software discounts. It almost never actually works. By that late stage, the user has already fully disengaged from the product, making end-of-contract interventions statistically irrelevant to the actual decay curve. Structurally halving your churn requires abandoning customer service heroics entirely. It requires an engineered, proactive system, a retention playbook, that systematically intercepts risk and prevents the account from ever reaching the cancellation point. Achieving a 1.5% structural churn rate is a deliberate systems engineering achievement. It rewrites the compounding trajectory of the business and aggressively scales the enterprise valuation of the SaaS organization. To construct this proactive playbook, we must re-examine the exact nature of the churn metric itself. Churn is an operational postmortem. It is a lagging indicator that tells you a process has already failed, lacking any of the diagnostic data needed to prevent the failure. There is a severe temporal delay. By the time a 3% monthly churn rate shows up in your revenue spreadsheet, the actual user behaviors that cause the cancellation happened 3 to 6 months in the past. Look at this timeline. The red cancellation node is preceded by a 3 to 6 month blind spot where actual disengagement occurs undetected. Our operational focus must shift entirely to the far left, strictly monitoring leading indicators before failure solidifies. The critical data layer required to illuminate this blind spot is product telemetry. We need precise, continuous streams of data tracking exactly how users are interacting with the software in real time. The first critical telemetry input for a B2B SaaS playbook is activation depth. This measures exactly how deeply a new user integrates the core features during their initial onboarding sequence. The second vital input is tracking the frequency of high-value actions. We monitor the specific, repeatable tasks performed by the core users that directly correlate to long-term account retention. The third telemetry input goes beyond daily usage. It monitors the engagement level of the executive champion or the specific buyer who signed the contract, ensuring their login frequency remains stable. Operating a playbook capable of reaching 1.5% churn means ignoring the final cancellation node entirely. The system must operate strictly within this continuous layer of leading telemetry data. Gathering product telemetry is only the first step. Passive observation is useless unless that raw data is actively processed by a logic engine. Raw telemetry streams feed directly into a central risk threshold decision node. The system continuously monitors for drops in usage. The moment a data stream dips below our baseline, the node outputs an immediate alert signal. A concrete operational example of a threshold breach is daily active users, or DAU, dropping by exactly 20% within a strict rolling 14-day window. Relying on a customer success manager's intuition to notice a 20% drop in login frequency across hundreds of accounts is mathematically impossible. Human observation cannot catch micro breaches at scale. The playbook acts as a precise algorithm for the customer success team, stripping away subjective account feel and replacing guesswork with deterministic rules. Deterministic algorithmic logic moves with immediate speed and precision, translating a single data point into a massive, coordinated chain reaction across the entire success organization. The logic engine takes the specific telemetry breach and automatically maps it to a strict corresponding playbook protocol, dictating exactly what action must be taken next. Customer success transforms from a reactive, relationship-based discipline into a data-driven response system built to intercept risk the very second it appears in the telemetry. Once the logic engine triggers an alert, we enter the final tactical phase of the playbook architecture, the structured intervention. The traditional, low-effort response to an at-risk account is for a manager to send an email saying, "Just checking in." This tactic almost universally fails to correct the underlying usage problem. A pre-engineered intervention is a highly targeted maneuver designed explicitly to correct the exact telemetry breach that triggered the alert in the first place. This diagram maps the distinct response pathways once an alert fires. If telemetry shows executive disengagement, it initiates an executive business review. Feature drops trigger automated re-onboarding. Repeated error codes immediately escalate to the product team. Standardized action plans remove human variability. They ensure that every single customer success manager handles at-risk accounts with the exact same engineered precision, regardless of their individual experience level. Knowing an account is at risk provides no value on its own. The true power of the playbook is the immediate deployment of a highly calibrated solution to systematically stabilize the revenue. If we pull back from these tactical details, we can see the entire playbook architecture as a single, continuous, closed-loop system. This macro-level diagram outlines the complete flow. Raw data moves from the customer cohort, processes through telemetry logic gates, dictates playbook interventions, and feeds into a stabilized retention target. The system operates continuously, aggressively enforcing the integrity of that shallow 1.5% curve. The entire mechanism relies on maintaining a strict loop, monitor the leading telemetry, trigger alerts at predetermined thresholds, and execute standardized interventions. A perfectly calibrated operational system achieves a frictionless equilibrium, actively catching and correcting attrition risks long before they can compound into structural damage. Operating this continuous loop is the definitive dividing line between ad hoc relationship management and true structural engineering in B2B SaaS. The immediate financial consequence of maintaining this loop is escaping the linear revenue replacement trap, the exhausting cycle where a company must constantly sell new accounts just to cover a 3% monthly bleed. Securing a 1.5% retention curve provides the mathematical bedrock required for annual recurring revenue to actually compound. A calibrated retention playbook systematically and predictably compounds the enterprise valuation of the entire SaaS organization.